Hey, so, you already know the deal. Last time we read through the LOL Cult arc, and this time we will be reading through the Teruki Hanazawa arc. The reason why I'm doing this review earlier than planned, yes, this was meant to be next week, is because the Akira Volume 1 review I'm working on is taking damn too long. Also, you can listen to these reviews on Spotify now if you want to. So yeah, you can listen to them there. If you want to, I'm not gonna say you can't. It's up to you if you want to listen to them on Spotify. Now, without any more hesitation, let us begin.
As a British person!
This arc starts off with Misato, the girl from the journalist club that we were introduced to last arc, pestering Mob's brother Ritsu about Mob's psychic power. She asks if she can publish an article about Mob's powers, but Ritsu is very against it, but tells her to ask Mob himself. Meanwhile, Dimple is mad at Mob for not wanting to use his powers, even though Mob doesn't see the point, which annoys Dimple, who wants to become a god himself. After they argue for a while, Misato comes to Mob and asks if she can do an interview with him later, and he accepts. Later that day, we see the same delinquent who were beaten up by the fancy boys, swearing that they will get the revenge. So they ask the Body Improvement Club to help them, but they decline and get rid of them. So the leader of the delinquent group, Tenga, decides to write a fake love letter to Mob, and then make another letter threatening the fancy schoolboys. I refuse to call them by their school names. I am not taking that chance. Looking at my skin complexion, I'm not taking that chance. Mob reads the letter, but Dimple points out it's an obvious fake and an obvious trap. But Mob still goes, which shows how naive he still is and hasn't changed much after falling for similar stuff twice now. Mob goes there and gets surrounded by the fancy schoolboys and gets tied up. Mob has officially been kidnapped. Tenga leaves a note near the dumbbells at the Body Improvement Club, so when the leader wonders where he is, one of the members inform them that they found a note saying Mob was kidnapped. This gets the Body Improvement Club's attention and they go and save Mob, like the chads that they are. The Body Improvement Club arrives and asks for Mob, which surprises the fancy boys because they thought they had Tenga or someone from his group, but then the fancy boy realized that they were set up by Tenga. The Body Improvement Club beats up the fancy boys and saves Mob, and you might think, oh, thank God they saved Mob. Haha, well no. As the leader of the boys arrives, the man of the arc himself, Teruki Hanazawa. He wastes no time by knocking out everybody who is still active, aside from Mob and Dimple to a lesser extent. Mob tries to have a civil conversation with Hanazawa, but he tries to get rid of Mob, only to learn he has psychic powers too. Hanazawa also comments on Dimple, but Mob tells him that he's just a curse, which was funny to read. So Hanazawa keeps trying to get Mob to fight, but Mob refuses, so Hanazawa does something that is just cruel. He kills Dimple, which makes you think that that'll be the reason for Mob to fight. But no, it only goes up 3% in his emotions. Hanazawa keeps wailing on Mob. He keeps punching Mob, even throwing him into a building, and then tries to throw knives at him, but Mob reflects it back, which cuts off the hair at the top of his head, which honestly makes him look like the coach from Hajime no Ippo. This makes Hanazawa want to kill Mob, so he keeps beating him up. He even choked Mob for a moment, like, hey yo. So Mob gets choked out, and we learn why Mob refuses to use his powers. The reason why he's afraid of using his powers is due to an incident where Ritsu tried to get back money from 3 bullies who stole it from them. This ends up with Mob getting knocked and hitting his head, and when he wakes back up, he notices that all the 3 bullies were knocked out, but Ritsu is also on the ground, bleeding and barely awake, saying, "It hurts, brother." Hanazawa is about to leave thinking he won against Mob, but he is so wrong, because Mob's unconscious body takes control over him and becomes %, which is apparently stronger than 100%. %, basically wipes Hanazawa and destroys the entire school in its attack. So when Mob gets his conscience back, he realizes what his psychic powers did. He felt so guilty for what he had done that he started crying, and his crying basically repaired the school and brought everybody back to the ground. Don't worry, they're all alive, they were just knocked into the air. So it started to rain and Mob decides to go back to school with the Body Improvement Club to do some activities. Meanwhile, Misato realizes that he was stood up by Mob for the interview that he had forgotten. After all that, Mob comes home really late after looking around the whole neighborhood for Dimple, but he can't find him. Ritsu helps Mob to get rid of his wet clothes, and when he asks if everything is okay, Mob says yes and apologizes to Ritsu about the situation with the 3 bullies, only for Ritsu to tell him that it's fine and Ritsu was the one who knocked those guys out. After the conversation, Mob goes to bed. This arc ends with Ritsu watching the news of what happened earlier that day and thinking about what his brother told him earlier in the arc, that he was jealous of Ritsu. Overall, such a banger of an arc, with even better panels this time around. So far, I'd say it's my favorite manga arc out of the 3 I've read. Yeah, I know. Next time, we will be looking at the big cleanup arc. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys, well, next time. Bye-bye.